Welcome to Behind the Catch Fence. I'm your host, David Hoffman. It's Knoxville Nationals week, and we're helping you gear up for the World of Outlaws Crown Jewel event. Who better to have join us than a former winner of the event and current Outlaws points leader, David Gravel. David, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, we got a lot going on. We're recording on Tuesday, so you guys are pretty busy setting up, I guess, merch and everything like that. I guess, how's that been going so far?
Going good. We got three new designs, got new die casts, new pullback cars coming in, and it takes a lot of effort, and you got to have a lot of stock built up, and our trailers aren't big enough to hold all the stock, so you got to find every crevice in any area to put extra things, and a lot of consolidation, and yeah, try to get some social media stuff done and get our schedule out of where we'll be signing autographs for the week and appearances and stuff like that. So. There's a honestly, the on track stuff is the quickest and easiest stuff this week. That's for sure.
I was gonna say, you guys are, going a million miles an hour with everything. And what I notice with your social media, what I think is pretty interesting, as a chocolate milk lover myself, you do that. Every race, fans give you that. Just how did that start?
Yeah, just living on the road and eating crappy food. I didn't want to be eating ice cream all the time and chocolate bars or something to create, you know, uh, help my cravings. So I was like, oh, maybe chocolate milk would be a better option. And I always liked the taste of it and started doing it. And, I love pizza. So I always seen the Dave Portnoy pizza reviews. So I was like, let me do kind of my own version of what that is. And yeah, it's been a hit so far.
And it certainly has been. It's always fun to see what's going to be good, what's going to be crappy. But going into this week, obviously, you're Outlaws points leader. You got 11 wins on the year, and lead the standings by I think it's like 180 points or so. But in a season where everything seems to be going right and everything's clicking, just how do you find ways to improve even more to keep that gap and to keep pushing forward?
Yeah, it's hard. We just kind of do what we do and try to be consistent and not get too high and not too low and just try to bring it every night and put ourselves in position and we've been pretty awesome this year. You always want to win more races, want to win the crown jewel events. So this week's very important to us, but yeah, you just stay focused and believe in your team and yeah, believe in yourself. And, we race a lot and go to a lot of different places, but I feel like our consistency has been pretty awesome this year. And yeah, we're going to try to keep it up for the whole season.
And going into Knoxville week, just how are you feeling just based on your program there and recent runs in the past, from the last couple weeks that you guys have been there?
Yeah, all our outlaw shows he ran here this year went really, really well. Always want to run as much laps as you can here, and wish we did the Capitani race just to get a little bit more comfortable. But you know, the track's always a little bit different, and the track took rubber very early on in the feature and was honestly a terrible race. So, as far as feature wise, I'm not sure how much you would have learned there, maybe early in the night, but they're racing, you just never know what the track's going to be like. So, our prelim night come tomorrow, it could be completely different than what it was on Sunday. So, that's what makes what we do tough.
I was gonna say, like obviously you mentioned with the unpredictable conditions how it'll race, but what are some of the key aspects behind the wheel, from your perspective that you have to be good at in order to have consistency at a place like Knoxville?
Yeah, you got to qualify good and you got to be able to adapt and you got to be able to know when you got to run the top or the bottom and you got to pay attention in qualifying very closely and um, you know and then it's the heat race. But for me, I've done it a long time, seen a lot of different scenarios. Feel like we have a good package, good qualifying package. So just paying attention and executing is all it takes. So we try to do both those things the best of our ability, but it's not going to be easy. We got every good sprint car driver here in the country.
And obviously, you guys ran the Ironman 55 a couple of days ago, and just how much with these 50 lap races, just how much do you feel that from a mental and physical perspective, and how do you kind of balance and make sure that you're prepared for those longer races?
Yeah, like really how Peevely went. It's not honestly that big of a deal because the track is so small and then the track's so fast. We were, doing 10-second laps probably the whole A main. So that goes pretty fast. But Knoxville 50 laps, you know, on a weekly basis, they only run 20 or 25 laps. I think they run 20 laps on a weekly show. And this is two 25 lap mains, and with the break in the middle. So it's a very long race. A lot changes with the track. It's very physical, very demanding track, especially when you run the bottom at Knoxville, and definitely draining. So to me, you got to keep your composure and cool. And if your car's good and everything's rolling good, it's a lot easier. But if your car's struggling, if there's a massive curb, definitely it could be mentally and physically exhausting.
And I've heard from other drivers that I've talked to throughout the week just how much just of a technical racetrack it is and having to always hit your marks because the corners are as long if as like the straightaways. Just how do you balance that with making sure you're as perfect as possible despite we're human. It's always gonna something's gonna always happen.
Yeah, you just do the best you can, and like I said, pay attention and know going into that next race or qualifying or feature, you kind of have a game plan, and you got to work hard with your crew chief and try to get the car close and just try to execute the best of your ability.
And looking back at your win there in 2019 with Jason Johnson Racing, that was a big deal for a lot of reasons. Obviously, your first win in the Nationals, and came a little over a year after Jason's passing. Just how would you like looking back at that time? Just how would you describe victory lane and just that moment of just not only for yourself but everyone around you?
Yeah, it was a special moment for everybody. I was able to get my first win there, and JJR got their second win there. And obviously, with Jason passing and having Jax there, having Jeff Gordon there, and when all the people from Exalta and Mark Webber, that was a big week for my career, big week for the team. And yeah, just something I'll cherish forever. And it's awesome to win one, and then the list of guys that have won multiple are even smaller, and it's just such a hard race to win. And we've been close a couple times in this big game too, and I feel like we have all the tools to get the job done, and hopefully this is our year.
And a final question for me, like I've never had the chance to experience Knoxville and just everything that goes around it, but obviously I've seen the amount of traditions and everything that kind of goes into this event. Just what are some of your favorite parts of the week, and what and just with how Knoxville is just kind of in a league of its own.
Yeah, it just, you're set up in a town, there's no other track that's literally in the center of a town, and you could walk across the street to a bar or a restaurant or a grocery store or a laundromat. Just one of a kind. And it just the whole town is revolved around racing, and Eldora is an awesome place, but you're in the middle of nowhere, and you got to drive a half hour, 40 minutes or an hour to a hotel. And it's just one of a kind. And the grandstands are huge. Our Hall of Fame's here. There's a bunch of suites. It just has a big feel, big aura around the place. And no matter if it's the highest paying race or not, it'll always be revered as the number one race in sprint car racing.
Well, hopefully everything goes smoothly this week, and maybe you'll be hoisting a second trophy by the end of the weekend. But David, appreciate you taking the time, and yeah, good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for being patient with me. And I always try to get these in. Sometimes I can't, but yeah, thanks for having me.